Welcome to AutoSave. I'm Camille Salazar-Hadaway with my co-host, Mr. Nick Andrade. And in this episode, we are finishing our journey with the story of God of War PS4 with our last episode. Nick, how does it feel to go on this ride and know that it's coming to an end?
Honestly, it's been a journey. I feel like, honestly, I didn't realize this story was going to come to an end so quickly.
Quickly?
Like
what?
Yeah, because I was in Niflheim and Muspelheim or whatever it's called for so long that I might have played more than the actual story. I had thought that there would be way more meat to these chapters at the end than there actually was.
Okay, because I just remember you throughout all the previous episodes being like, how long does it take to spread these ashes?
I agree. I just mean like maybe in the sense of like Baldur and everything that's going on with Odin and stuff like that. So it's interesting that this is the end.
Yes, it is the end. But I will remind everyone that on last week's episode, Nick also complained about how long it's taking to do this, but we also went through some other stuff as well.
Boy, listen close. I'm from a land called Sparta. I made a deal with the god that cost me my soul. I killed many who were deserving, and many who were not. I killed my father.
That was your father in hell. Is this what it is to be a god? Is this how it always ends? Sons killing their mothers? Their fathers?
No. We will be the gods we choose to be. Not those who have been. Who I was is not who you'll be. We must be better.
We killed Baldur. Freya swore vengeance on us. And, it's just a walk in the park for your average day in Midgard. But the main antagonist of the whole game has been destroyed, and we'll deal with Freya later. So now we're on to the main mission. The whole point of the journey, the whole thing that started this off, Atreus and Kratos, was to climb the mountain, the tallest mountain, and spread Faye's ashes once and for all as her last will and testament. Now, as we cover the last chapter, chapter 16, obviously named Mother's Ashes because we're at that point. Yes. I have a question for you. Today's question is, what has been the best boss fight in your mind in this game? We faced Baldur, we had Magni and Modi, Dark Elves, some Trolls, Valkyries, Hellwalkers, all this stuff. So what do you think is the best boss fight?
There's not too many boss fights that are like main characters. We got Baldur, Magni, Modi. Apart from that, there's not many that are like we've faced difficult elves, we faced some trolls, whatever. They are boss fights, but they're not necessarily like main characters or main villains that we have to fight. Obviously, Baldur, it must be like a choice because it's like 4 phases and it's a long fight and it's well worth it. The fight I really enjoyed the most was Magni and Modi. I enjoyed having to fight them both and having to do those kind of like different moves for each of them and having to block their attacks with the shield. I thought it was super fun.
That was fun. My fight on the dragon. Fighting on a dragon is pretty badass. Nothing tops it. That is my favorite fight. Let us know what your favorite fight is on socials as well, because Nick obviously got it wrong. It's the dragon.
You know what? I agree with you. That was also an amazing fight. And also, if you did any side quests, you can do Fafnir as well.
Yes.
Which is another dragon, which is also a cool fight as well.
Nothing beats dragons. But I don't think we'll be seeing dragons as we go into this chapter. But we'll have to see right after this break. All right, welcome back. And as we head back into the realm room to finally get into Jotunheim, Atreus asks why Baldur said he caused him. Mimir believes Odin lied to him to say if he followed us, he would have found a cure to his immortality. Do you believe this as well? Or do you think, like, because Odin seems pretty much like, I mean, Baldur's the main antagonist here, but I feel like the big, puppet master is Odin, and that kind of makes sense to me.
And we've heard a lot of stories about how Odin is, a vengeful god. He's killed a lot of giants. He's killed a lot of other gods. He had a feud with Tyr, all that stuff. So to me, it makes sense that Odin fed Baldur what he wanted to hear just so he could get the information that he wanted. And unfortunately, that led Baldur to his demise. But I think Odin looks at his relatives or his sons and daughters as almost like throwaways to his bigger goals.
I know, they're just pawns in his games.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that pretty much makes sense here because especially remember I talked about how Baldur seems like he was ready to die. If you are so desperate and ready to die for this one thing, that was one thing I didn't understand why he was so upset at Kratos. It would be to get his mortality back. That's the one thing he wanted. And if he was tricked into doing so, I think that's why he was willing to go all out for it. But anyways, it's now off to Yoenheim, and we're going to use Mimir's head as a way to get there.
Let's hope this doesn't cause you to explode or anything.
Oh, hadn't considered that. Maybe we should talk about this a bit more.
Nah, I'm sure you'll be fine. Ready?
Oh, that's unpleasant!
Now, boy! We must be close.
Well, what are we waiting for? Think it's far?
We will see.
So Brock and Sindri see us off, and they kind of take care of Mimir because Kratos effortlessly just tosses his head to them. I mean, we've grown so fond of Mimir, and Kratos is just like, he's still ahead. Let's just throw him there. Not gently hand them off to Brock and Sindri.
He also calls him head all the time. He never calls him actually Mimir. So I think he's disrespected Mimir this entire time. But I do think it is sweet that Mimir is like, this is for you and your son. Leave me out of it. And you can have this nice moment with each other.
But they need to put respect on Mimir's name. Put some respect on it. But this kind of got me a little nervous because usually when you see all of your allies disappear, there's usually like a surprise battle or like something that's going to happen. I feel like we're like just taking off like our knowledge and just passing it. So we won't be able to get any information if a boss shows up on the weakness. So it got me a little nervous, but that's neither here or there. It is best to have this alone time with Atreus and Kratos. And then we go up to the golden sky.
Look, we're on the giant's fingers. I can see the highest peak ahead. Right over there. We did it.
We did.
What are you doing?
I have nothing more to hide.
Can we go now? We're so close.
Boy. Carry her.
my heart. This is such a touching moment as we see Kratos removes his blades of chaos bandages because he feels like he has nothing to hide from his son. He is free, right?
Yeah, I think of it too. I think he looks at it almost like he is not the man that he was. So yes, he is free in a sense of he's laid everything out for his son. But now I think he feels like especially when you look back at the scene with Athena and he's like, I am your monster no longer. I honestly do think that he believes that he is completely free of everything in his past and he is a better man.
Yeah, I do as well. This was another nerve-wracking part because usually before a surprise boss battle, we have like this realization with the antagonist. I was just like, all these things are telling me that something's gonna happen.
I know.
Something's gonna happen. But, he also gives Atreus the ashes of Faye and showing that he really does truly trust him and that he's grown up. He's trusting him with his wife's last will and testament, like his last wish, her last wishes. So they go over a bridge and they enter the giant's temple, which is full of statues and writings. It's really cool. It looks really cool. And Atreus and Kratos ponder what all of the writings are, if any giants survived at all, and they start reading the walls of a guardian who will protect Jotunheim. It's telling the story of this guardian, and that Midgard will turn into a second hell that not even Odin can stop. So we have this prediction of like the giants kind of going against Odin, or in a sense with this premonition of what is to come, which makes me realize maybe Odin was aware of this and was like, giants, I'm not having this. And the two of them, Kratos and Atreus, wonder why Faye sent them to this particular point as they climb and walk through these walls.
Is Kratos the guardian? Is Atreus the guardian of these prophecies? I wonder. I have no idea. I mean, did they foretell that Kratos would leave his land as a god and come to Midgard and come to this Norse mythology land and be a part of it? I don't know. So it's like, is it this on Atreus? What is this? Is this maybe a guardian someone else? Was Faye a guardian? I have no idea. This is all things I pondered while I was reading these scriptures.
Yeah, it's just a really weird, area to send your husband and son with your ashes. So I think it's telling us that Faye probably knows more than what we thought she knew. So as they both climb, they take some steps outside and Atreus starts touching a wall to balance.
That's us. The first time we met the world serpent. But how? And our fight with Baldur. That just happened. Wait. They knew everything that was going to happen. The dragon in the mountain, the stone mason, all these drawings. This is our story.
No. This is your story.
But what does it all mean?
That I was not the only parent with secrets.
You didn't know. She was a giant. I'm a giant. Why didn't she tell us?
She sent us here knowing we would find this.
But why not just tell us the truth?
Your mother would have had good reasons.
Holy crap. Okay. So this is where things get interesting. So, okay, we heard about the giants knowing about the past, the future, and being all-knowing, as everyone, it seems like, in Midgard explains them to be. And it turns out that Faye was a freaking giant this whole time. She was not mortal. I was correct. We also found out that Balder wasn't after Atreus or Kratos. He was actually after Faye. And he just didn't know that Faye was dead and just ashes at this point. So when we see this wall, Kratos says that this story that's being told on the wall that is about their journey throughout this whole game is really a story for the protagonist of that story to be Atreus, right? So technically, Atreus is half god from Greek mythology and half giant, which really explains his knowledge of everything. The knowledge that Faye was passing down to him, his ability to speak these languages. I think that's where these powers are coming from. And then that's why Faye sent them both here so they could learn the truth, which is really interesting because then her journey, I guess, through life, maybe she was regretting she didn't tell them the truth, but there must have been a really good reason, as we heard Kratos say. And the best part about this that we heard is, looks like I wasn't the only parent with secrets.
Which at least is good. Like, we know both of them kept secrets from each other that are probably important as to, maybe it's important that they didn't tell each other these things. Probably.
Yeah, it is. Let's just talk about first what we saw on this wall. Where do we start? Did you see any of this coming to light, the first time you played through? Because I did not at all.
It was like what I expected the story to be, or where I thought the story was going. Did a complete 180 for me.
Yeah.
I did not expect any of this. Even with Faye, like, I knew maybe she wasn't immortal or she was a god or something like this. It's just the way that everything happened, from the fight with Balder and Freya and then to this. Like, it was so unexpected.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it would be a little bit more straightforward. Odin would show up and we had to fight Odin and yada, yada, yada. And then we maybe find some more truth about something. But this is like, there was no leads into this that would make us suspect that this would be the case, which I really liked. There was maybe there were clues that we had seen, and I guess maybe the flicker in Atreus' eyes earlier when he talked to the world serpent, maybe there was something there. But I really was like floored because I had no idea that this was happening, and it was crazy, and I really enjoyed it all.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this as well, especially like, I don't know, how is she a giant? Like, how was she hiding this? It explains a lot in terms of how everyone knew who she was. I guess Kratos didn't know because he's not from there and maybe doesn't know about that past, but that means everyone had to kind of lie about it. Like, did Mimir know this? I have so many more questions after reading this wall.
Also, was Faye like 10 feet tall? No, she was a regular sized human because
she was
Kratos wasn't none the wiser. So was there a spell cast on her? Did she have some sort of magic?
Yeah.
I don't know. So many questions.
Or is she like half giant and not full giant? Like, I don't know.
Ooh, maybe she's half god, half giant?
Yeah, right. There's so many questions that this ending, this reveal here is trying to tell us. And there's even more questions because we see Kratos stumble across one final drawing of what looks like snakes shooting out of Atreus' mouth and what looks like Kratos dying on the ground, almost peacefully in a sense. And we know from these drawings on the wall, they told of a future, not of a past. We need to break this down. What does this all mean?
My first thought is, this was my first thought after everything that I saw. What resonated with me is Kratos telling Atreus that if he had to kill him in order for Atreus to live, that he would accept that. And then we see this drawing a little bit later. So what I can imagine is Kratos almost letting go. But then what I don't understand is the snakes that are coming out of his mouth. Unless it's the world serpent that's coming out of his mouth. I have no idea. But for me, it's just saying, like, this is Kratos' last breath. And maybe he's even protecting his father as he's dying. But maybe they hate each other at the end. Like, I have no idea.
Wait, what? Atreus is protecting his father who looks
with
like...
With the snake mouth, yes. So he can rest peacefully as someone's trying to attack. I don't know. What's your theory?
I think Atreus is gonna kill Kratos. I think like that's the general consensus.
No, yeah, I agree with that.
I don't think he's trying to protect him. Like, how can you protect someone you're trying to kill?
No, but that was the second point I made. The first point was that he's killing Kratos as a reason for something, and that Kratos accepts it and is dying peacefully, because it looks like he's laying there pretty comfortably.
No, you don't kill someone willingly. Like, is there tears coming out of Atreus' eyes?
No, because I would no snakes.
Because
exactly
because he's a Slytherin. No, because I think this is a moment that is going to come. I think there is, throughout the game, we've seen like this dark side come out of Atreus where he's battling still. I think there is still going to be a battle with that. And we may not understand why that would happen now, because it seems like their relationship is in a really good place.
Yeah.
But I think Atreus is going to not necessarily turn evil, but may not see the way of light for a period of time there.
I disagree with you only because God of War Ragnarok, okay, that the small information that we know, this is going to be it. They don't want to spend 15 years making 3 games. They found a way to end it here, which is where they're going to end it. Do I believe that the end of the game or at some point will be Atreus killing Kratos because he hates him or because he's whatever it is? I don't believe that. I believe that their relationship will survive the next game, and that whatever ends up killing Kratos, which I do think Kratos will die, is a reason that is something bittersweet or sweet. Like he's protecting Kratos or has to kill him in order to save something. That's what I feel like is going to happen.
No,
they're not going to end it on them on bad terms. No way.
It may not be. Yes. Okay. I don't. See, I can't see them killing off Kratos. I think I'd cry if this franchise kills him off.
Definitely.
No.
Yes.
No, I will cry if they kill him off. And I think it's maybe like he has to leave Midgard. I think he has to leave Midgard. Like his son sent him away because something that the giants wished, or something that the giants foretold. I think something's going to happen in the future. Atreus is going to learn that this is something that the giants are foretelling, so it has to happen. I do think I'm going with my gut on Atreus is the bad guy. So.
No, I feel like Atreus can become bad and then will redeem himself at the end. But I mean, Kratos laying on the floor does not bode well for Kratos. But at this point, I don't think there's anything left for Kratos. Atreus is his last, like, it's his thing. Once he knows that Atreus is in a good place, I think he can finally rest easy, because I think he wants to die eventually. I think he's been through enough. So prepare yourself for that. I'm sorry.
I feel like we're going to have to really talk this one out in the Patreon episode, just because I don't agree with you. Anyways, so now that we have this reveal, I think it's finally time that nothing else holds us back from doing what we originally set out to do: spread Faye's ashes.
Goodbye, Faye.
I love you, Mom. The giants. They really are all gone. There's nothing for us here.
Come.
Nick was having like a sing-along during that cutscene. But yeah, Kratos and Atreus embrace in this sweet final moment as they put their wife and mother to rest as she wishes, along with the other giant. Faye was the last giant. What was also creepy about this, you see that one giant's hand?
Yeah.
Like off in the distance. That's kind of really creepy. And you know, we start walking back, but wait, we're not done with the secrets. There's one final huge reveal.
So, I get that Mother was a giant.
which makes me part giant and part god.
And part mortal.
Right. I guess there's just one thing I don't understand. My name on the wall. The giants called me... Loki?
Loki. That's the name your mother wanted for you when you were born. She must have called you that to her people.
But why?
A question for another day. Let us go home.
What? So does this mean that Atreus is technically the god of mischief, or some other iteration of Loki, the god of mischief?
Yes. What was do you remember your first reaction to this when you first, because I was blown away.
Yeah, I did not expect this at all. Plus, I'm having so many questions because technically isn't Loki the son of Odin or son of one of the giants that is like, or am I my MCU brain also wishwashing Norse mythology? Drop us with some knowledge, Nick.
No, but I had to look this up because I did have the same question. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I know that Loki isn't technically Odin's real son, but
yes,
given what we know in the Marvel universe, he is his son, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. But apparently...
the big reveal, God of War is a part of the MCU.
Again, don't like hold me to this completely. I was just reading this off, I don't know, Wikipedia or something like that. But apparently Loki isn't necessarily Odin's son in Norse mythology, but he is a god. He is the god of mischief. And I don't think he is like a full god as well. Don't hold me to that completely, but it does make sense if he would be Loki. And he is the bringer of Ragnarok from Norse mythology as well. He is the bringer of the end of times. Mm-hmm. This would make sense because he is the son of Kratos, unless he isn't the son of Kratos. That could also be something that slipped my mind as well.
But then he did show signs of the rage that Kratos has.
Yes.
Right? So I do think he is the son of Kratos, but I think there may be that reasoning I was looking for that would explain the premonition or, you know, the foretelling on the walls as to why Kratos and Atreus may be going head to head. Maybe Atreus, being the bringer of Ragnarok, loses his sanity in some sense or loses the way in which they fight. And that's what I think is happening. But I know there's so many theories out there to what this means. But my thing is just like, I can't believe that Atreus is Loki. And can I just say too, I love how Atreus goes back to like, so I am part god, part giant. And then Kratos had to be like, and mortal. Like, calm down.
I forgot about that too.
Get grounded.
But yeah, like Kratos was immortal, so being born, he would still be immortal, right? Mm-hmm. I forgot about that part. Do you think that holds any weight at all in terms of him being three different immortal, a god, and a giant?
I think so.
Does that hold any weight as why he is Loki?
Why he's Loki? No, not necessarily.
Okay.
But the god of mischief, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, remember you're like, why does Atreus have all these serpents coming out of him in the picture?
Yeah.
In Norse mythology, is it the same as Loki from the MCU where he could like transform into different things?
Maybe, but that looks like he's just throwing up snakes, so I don't know.
Well, maybe it's an illusion. Okay, Nick? I don't know how to explain it.
I'm not criticizing you. I'm just saying, like, maybe not. I'm not really sure. There's so much to be revealed.
There's so much to unravel.
I don't even know how the second game is going to cover all of this, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, Nick, with this reveal of like Faye wanting to call Atreus Loki, but then they both settled on Atreus, was it just like, oh, I like the name Loki? Nah. And then Faye's like, no, Loki. Like, do you think there was a lot of back and forth between Kratos and Faye? Because I feel like Kratos doesn't seem like the type who would care what his son is called. He's just boy at this point.
Most of the time, yeah. Well, Faye looks like she obviously knew into the future, right? calling him Loki. I don't know, but then she must have agreed with Kratos in calling him Atreus. Maybe that was to protect him as well. I don't know.
Do you feel like this kind of shows like who Atreus was supposed to be from the beginning? Like, you know, Kratos has been going through the game. He's been hiding his Spartan heritage, his past, and it's kind of like Kratos or Faye, both of them, was hiding who Atreus was all along, which is why he was probably bratty throughout the whole game.
Yeah. You obviously can't call him Loki at the start of the game, or else that ruins spoils the whole thing. But like, Kratos tells the story of Atreus, the Atreus that he knew in Sparta, and how a kind and just warrior he was, and that he was caring despite Spartans always being, you know, always in battle, and how he was having to fight and stuff like that. He was beyond what most of the Spartans were. So I feel like that story was important.
Yeah, definitely.
And that Atreus is more than just Loki. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So that's why, like, moving forward, he won't necessarily be the Loki of what the Giants expect him to be, but he'll still have his, I don't know, he'll learn. That makes sense? I don't know.
Okay, that's fair. Well, we will, like I said, dive deeper into this because there's a lot to talk about. But after this moment, we get Mimir back, and he tells us something really important.
Before we return to Midgard, I should warn you, more time has passed than you likely realize. The snowfall that began when you slew Balder has become something else. Stuff of omens.
Omens for the coming of winter.
Not just any winter, but a great winter to span 3 summers. And when it's done, Ragnarok.
Ragnarok from snow.
Aye, snow. Lots more snow. And then the end of the bloody world, in that approximate order.
Another prophecy.
No, brother. Prophecy doesn't expect this for 100 more winters at least. You've changed something. Prophecy didn't count on you.
So time passes in Jotunheim a lot slower, so winter has fallen in Midgard, which Mimir says looks like the start of Ragnarok, which, I mean, Loki brings about Ragnarok, and he's just literally, Loki has been kind of, you could say, born into this franchise because of the big reveal that just happened. So how does Mimir know all of this and not know that Atreus is Loki? I'm sorry. I'm a little... How do you not know this, Mimir?
I mean, maybe he does. Well, I don't know. Maybe he does know.
Maybe. He reveals what we have to know?
Right. Like, maybe he knows for sure that this is Ragnarok because he has seen or he knows who Atreus is. That could maybe possibly be it. I don't know. This is all a guessing game.
Yeah, I guess it's all a guessing game. But the prophecy of the end of the world wasn't supposed to happen for hundreds more years. We hear that from Mimir. But by Kratos being here, he's interrupting that prophecy because he is not of this world. So I guess he sped up that process. Do you think that's reason to be? Like, Atreus is Loki, technically shouldn't... I'm confused because if Atreus is Loki...
Yes.
And Loki is supposed to, from what we know, bring about Ragnarok. Wouldn't Kratos be essential to that? And why would the Giants have him on their wall that tells of the future? What do you think?
I don't know. I just feel like Kratos was not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And now that he is, it's created this whole other timeline that was never supposed to happen. And now they're just... But is he the guardian of the Giants? Is he a protector? Or is Loki?
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I'm thinking as well. Like, is Loki the champion of the Giants?
Yeah.
Because he's now the last giant, which makes him technically a good guy. So maybe he's fighting Ragnarok in a way to preserve the Giants in some sort of way. And maybe it not necessarily is him being a bad villain in all of this, but he's a necessary part in bringing down Odin. That's possible as well.
Yeah, it's all very weird, but you know what? The game continues, and we see that Kratos and Atreus are heading back home for a nicely deserved nap.
What was that?
The ball!
right, so we get a weird cutscene that cuts to years later. Whatever that means, it's very vague. And there's a huge storm outside and a hooded figure surrounded by lightning. And we see Mjolnir. And obviously Mjolnir comes hand in hand with Thor. Thor has come for us. And that's how they end the game. Talk about leaving a game on a cliffhanger. What did you think of this cutscene?
It was insane. I didn't expect this at all. I was also thrown off by the years later thing that came up. Like, was it a dream? Did this is actually happening? Is this the future? Like, what exactly is happening?
I have no idea. I don't think we're in, different timelines here, but I feel like because Mimir said Ragnarok's not supposed to happen for a long time and kind of how Kratos disturbed that, Kratos is bringing Ragnarok, and maybe Odin. Firstly, where's Odin this whole time? For years later, where has Odin been? He's been relentlessly trying to find, through his minions, Kratos and kill him because they're terrified of Kratos killing the gods in Norse mythology. But I mean, like, years later, Thor's here. Where has Thor been? I have so many questions, but that's pretty much it for our journey through God of War. They left
Yes.
us on a cliffhanger.
Nice cliffhanger.
Right? Like, that's how it is. They left us on a cliffhanger and really
On purpose.
a thought for us all as fans. And coming up on AutoSave, we're going to get into some of those thoughts. So after everything we witnessed, what is the most important thing, I guess, on your mind? Nick, I'll throw that question out for you.
I think the most important thing in my mind in general is I was not expecting the ending to be the way the ending was. Ended up killing Baldur. Was it justified? Was it not? I'm not really sure. But my main point here is I thought the ending was going to end a lot differently than what it actually did. All the reveals, crazy as they were, I thought we were going to see Odin. I thought Baldur was going to explain something. I didn't realize that it would be a relationship between Freya and Baldur.
Yeah.
I thought it would be more the relationship between Odin and Baldur and Kratos. So all of it really threw me off in general, and I think in a good way.
Yeah, it really threw us all off in a good way, but it also left me wanting a lot more, which is why I was a little bit disappointed with how the game ended and where they really see us, or where they really leave us, really. There's so many theories, I think, spawned on this ending, and we discussed some of our own theories. But we really never get true answers. Like, if you think about it, this whole time, we still don't know how Faye died. How did Faye die?
Are we going to learn more in the second game?
Yeah, and I feel like her death has to do with the fact of this discovery of, her son being Loki and her being a giant and what that means for Kratos in his potential demise that we saw on the wall.
Right.
Is Baldur really dead? I mean, is he? Is he really dead? I'm starting to question everything about this game now.
Maybe Freya brings him back to life, right?
I would not be surprised.
Also, we never found out what the light of Alfheim meant.
No.
Right? I thought we were going to get answers on that. I thought we were going to find out exactly what happened with Atreus outside of the light. I thought we would find out more about who Atreus was, other than obviously finding out that he's Loki. I thought we were going to learn more about his powers. We have no idea what his powers are at all.
But I think we do because he's Loki. So, in traditional Norse mythology, Loki is a shapeshifter as the god of mischief. So he, when he talks about, is he able to transform as into a wolf? Remember when he first found out he's a god? That was his reaction. And I think it was a hint from the developers that maybe he can. Maybe he will be in the second game because he is this shapeshifter god, Loki. Is he the bringer of Ragnarok or is he not? I don't know. There's also some theories that I looked up that Loki in Norse mythology, some writings, is seen to be the father of the world serpent. Is that why the world serpent recognizes Atreus?
Oh my God. That's
right.
Crazy. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the developers definitely did this on purpose for us to go on an endless route of what can happen in anticipation for God of War Ragnarok, which is coming out very soon.
I think also too, like, this whole story encompasses now knowing that there is a God of War Ragnarok makes everything make more sense, because if you just looked at this game as a one game and one game only, you would be confused. It's like they're automatically setting up that sequel that they've had planned. Like, this is a game where it feels like it's leading into something. It doesn't necessarily, yes, the story is amazing, but it doesn't necessarily feel like a complete game in a sense that it has a beginning and end. Yes, it does. But on the flip side, I feel like everything that's leading is more leading toward the second game than actually the first.
Yeah, and I feel with this as well, this reveal and even how the story went throughout the game, it's been a very fulfilling story throughout. And this just makes it, you know, the cherry on top of the sundae. Like, it just makes it that much more so. Quick note here as well, Loki, I'm going to start calling him Loki. Atreus mentions that he's hearing the voices again. Do you think that he's potentially hearing the voices of the dead giants?
Potentially, yeah. That could be, I don't know. The whole voices thing too is another whole thing that we have no idea about, because he's been talking about it, stopped talking about it, then he brings it back up. I don't really know exactly what's happening.
Yeah, I don't as well. We obviously will have to dive deeper on Patreon, our special episode that kind of gives us a roundabout of like our overall feels and review of the game.
I'm excited for what's going to happen in God of War Ragnarok. I almost said Thor Ragnarok, but we'll see what happens.
I know they're coming out hand in hand, I feel like. But yeah, I'm excited as well to see how they continue this story and where it will go. And I hope you're excited to hear our full thoughts on the overall gameplay, the story, maybe some more theories in our Patreon episode. So be sure to tune into that. But this has been the journey of God of War 2018 right here on AutoSave. If you have any suggestions on what game we should play through next, please let us know. Hit us up. We have such a good time playing through these games with you, and we hope that you enjoy it as well. Thank you for listening.